Our next guest invests in the tech sector, and she's got 3 ideas for you. We are joined by Ivana Delevska, founder and chief investment officer at Spear Invest. Ivana, it's always great to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Just remind us, in Nvidia, you think that stock offers lots of potential. Remind us why you like it, please.
So Andy, thanks for having me. If you look at the performance of the different tech sectors in the first half of this year, you will see that software has really been leading the pack, and data center and data infrastructure has been lagging. This is because in the first half of this year, with the prior generation launch, we didn't really need new infrastructure. And with the new generation of products like the Blackwell for Nvidia, we really need completely new data centers. This took a little longer to come to market, but we think as we look into the second half, a lot of these investments will be coming through, and therefore Nvidia will be selling a lot of their new products. So we really like it here, especially for second half, third and fourth quarter, we think are going to be particularly strong.
So give us that again. They have the Blackwell chip out there. There were glitches. I mean, it's such an advanced device. But you say the sales and revenue are going to be, the sales will just be rolling in for these new products?
That's right, Andy. So basically, the challenges that they faced were mainly on customers trying to integrate these products in their completely new data centers. So as you can imagine, that's a pretty complex task. So it took 6 months to go through, but as we look into the second half, a lot of those now they're in full motion, they're ramping well, they're working well for customers. So as systems grow in the second half, you're going to see both a revenue impact. So we think revenues are going to improve, and then also margin impact because the systems are higher margin products.
Your next idea is AMD, the chip maker. And just remind us, do they have a product that can be used in AI applications?
That's right, Andy. So AMD launched a product about 2 years ago, and they had a very successful launch with over $10 billion of incremental revenues coming from zero. But it took a little longer for the company to scale this business. So this is why if you look at the stock, you will see that it hasn't really performed very well over the past year. As we look forward, we're now seeing some customers like Amazon and Microsoft ordering in larger scale from AMD, and we think this is going to propel the stock for the next half. So it's kind of like Nvidia is going to pull the whole sector through, and then customers will be also looking for alternatives like AMD and other data center plays.
And what kind of devices does AMD sell that can be used in data centers or AI?
Their GPUs, Andy, very comparable to Nvidia's products. So they're a direct competitor to Nvidia. So this is what we think is going to drive the company for the next several years to come as they ramp these GPU products. Just for background, Nvidia has over 90% market share in the GPUs, and AMD is a new entrant. So if they're successful in penetrating this market, that could really be a pretty significant upside for the stock.
And then Marvell, MRVL, they are a leader in custom chips, but have fallen out of favor with investors. Do you think the stock's sold off? It's unjustified?
That's right, Andy. So custom chips are even further than AMD's chips. These are chips that companies like Amazon and Microsoft are designing in-house with the help of Marvell. And this has even further to go than somebody like AMD. So this is why this is a little bit of a riskier investment where you're really betting that custom chips will have a place in tomorrow's data center. I think what investors are missing is that this is a very large opportunity, the data center itself. So there is going to be applications where Nvidia is the best choice. There is going to be applications where you can do with AMD, and there is also going to be applications where customers can design their own backend software layer and use some of the custom chips, which will be lower cost alternatives.
And just broadly, Ivana, this looking at the chip industry, I'm curious, America has got these restrictions on the sale of certain devices into China. What impact is that having on the chip industry's profits?
Well, Andy, China is a very big market, and it's a pretty negative development that U.S. companies are right now not even able to access the China market with the latest round of restrictions, just because they're so restrictive that it doesn't really make sense to use the devices versus competitors. So it's a really pretty big miss for the US not to be able to participate in the China market, but this is already taken out of numbers completely. So Nvidia on their last earnings call wrote down a significant portion of their inventory that was supposed to be for China, and they also assume now in their projections going forward that China GPUs will be basically non-existent. So if there are any positive developments in this where they will be able to re-access this market, that would be further upside for these stocks. All three, I would say, would have a pretty big positive impact from lifting China restrictions. But as of right now, there is close to zero assumed in terms of revenues and earnings from China.